I'm an associate in the Houston office of White Case LLP, which is a big white shoe international law firm. And originally, when I was in university, I was elected to be a student representative for the student government. And one of those responsibilities was drafting legislation. And that was something I thought I was good at, and other people were also happy with the work I was doing there. And that led me to drafting legislation that got passed in Nevada, that helped, people that had been hurt on college campuses. And after that, kind of just showed me the power that words can have if are able to string together sentences well and put it through the right medium. So after that, I double majored in economics, international relations, and with the intent to go to law school. And here we are.
That's great. So we have a few student questions. You mind if we just kind of jump right into that?
Absolutely.
All right. So one of the kids had messaged me. They wanted to know that you had graduated magna cum laude. Is it Order of the Coif? I was trying to with the pronunciation there.
It is. It's a tough Order of the Coif. Yep.
Coif. What study habits or philosophies contributed to such success that you had?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, and this is something that has been extremely helpful throughout, both my studies as well as in my professional life and career, is time management. Making sure you can kind of triage your things and have this working order of different things you need to attend to, whether that's studying or doing homework or, preparing for a test, and making sure that you're properly, delegating your time to a certain place at a certain time. So I think that's been extremely helpful. And yeah, it always takes work, right? There's a lot of people that are trying very hard. So just putting in the time and effort and caring, really, knowing the grades will matter, that people are going to be looking at those things one day, whether that's fair or not. So putting in the effort that you can to really try your best and do what you can.
You were the managing editor for the Minnesota Law Review, right? So did that shape your approach when it came to legal writing or anything like that?
Yeah, I think it did, and that's for those of you that aren't familiar, kind of law reviews, it's a great opportunity because it's normally you have to grade in. And it's one of the biggest gold stars you can have on your resume from law school. And one of the things you learn there is that you have to be extremely precise. It's a game of precision, that every word, every decimal, I can tell the difference between a non-italicized comma in a Word document and a the difference between italicized and non-italicized commas, and just seeing things as minute as that. That kind of attention to detail, I don't think you can replicate in a different way. It's something that taught me the importance of every word and every decimal, every comma, every semicolon, everything you use in legal writing.
That is very intense. I have some questions for you, but I as a former teacher, and not many of you know this, I was Jacob's teacher many years ago. But can you describe some of your work for the kids when it comes to Chapter 11, and I believe you had described it as white collar law or something along those lines?
Yeah. It's a white shoe law firm, so it's one of the ones that, top 10 in the world by revenue, deals with some of the biggest deals and stuff like that. And specifically, my work has been in capital markets, which is like shares and notes and things that corporations do to raise money. And then primarily, I would say I've been working on bankruptcy cases, which is when a big company gets into financial distress. They either have to go through the court process to kind of fix the company and come out the other side okay, or they have to find something to do out of court to raise money and keep themselves from going through bankruptcy. So it's kind of half litigation and half finding ways to put together deals to keep the clients out of financial trouble.
Are there certain issues that you see in corporate governance that are kind of like common practice for you on the legal side?
It's a very nuanced question. Maybe I think that the only thing that I've seen so far is that, you have people that care and that legitimately want to make their corporations better and do something good and do something positive, not only for their stakeholders and the employees of the company and the shareholders and stuff like that, but also to really grow the industry. And some people are just checked out. They seem to kind of not really care too much what happens anymore. They already make good money. They're just kind of complacent. So I think that really trying to make sure that you deal with people in the first realm, people that care. I think that's a big difference maker in the corporate governance world.
We have a question from Aina, and Aina is in Spain. Aina, you can unmute. You had a pretty good question. Go ahead and ask Jacob.
I asked how does it feel to be a lawyer, and do you feel good, and do you think you made the correct choice being one?
Thank you for asking that. I am very happy with where I am. I'm a first generation college student. My parents did not go to college. My dad is a construction worker. And the opportunities that this has presented me and my family is something that I think is difficult to replicate in certain other industries. It's definitely a lot of work. You have to be ready to, it's not necessarily a 9 to 5, particularly in the United States. You have to be ready to stay up late on occasions. But the doors that it opens, lawyers often become politicians or CEOs of businesses, or they open up their own hedge funds. It's not just one route that you open up when you become a lawyer. You get acquainted with all these different people that are very important in their industries, and there's a lot of different routes that you could take it. So yes, I'm very happy with my decision. Except I need to pay off my student loans. That's the only one. That's the only downside for those in the United States. Might not be as big of a problem in Spain.
Just a little bit, right? Not that much.
Yeah, just a little bit.
One of our students in Turkey messaged me. They wanted to know what are some things that you wish you had done in high school? What are some things that you had done in high school that contributed to your career right now?
Some things that I did, or some things that I wish I did.
Both.
Both. All right. So I, in high school, from the time I was 6 to when I was 18 and through college, I had played sports. So I grew up playing football. In high school, I played football, I wrestled, and I ran track. And then in college, I played collegiate rugby. And I think those things are very helpful. I think that, being able to work with a group and being able to perform under pressure and get through, difficulties, with other members of your team or in overcoming those mental barriers yourself are extremely useful. Things I wish I did. I don't know. I think I would have been engaged in the community a little more. I think I could have done a little more to help. I was very focused on the sports and getting very good grades, but I think it's very rewarding and you meet a lot of people when you engage with your community and give back. So I think that I could have spent some more time doing community service or, engaging with community in that way.
Spoken like a true politician. I love it. Marion in France, you had a good question. Go ahead and unmute to ask Jacob.
How did you know you wanted to work in law stuff?
Yeah. It was and I kind of alluded to it before was the drafting of the legislation and knowing that I like I feel that I'm very good with words and writing, as well as with numbers, which is helpful here. I'm not good at science, so I couldn't be a doctor or a scientist, and I still wanted to work in something that was one of the more prestigious or high paying opportunities, where I thought I could really make a difference in the world. And sorry, one more thing to add to that is that you also have the opportunity here, and I've taken advantage of that opportunity to do pro bono work for people that can't afford legal services, even when you're working on some of the bigger deals. So, for example, right now I'm working on a death penalty appellate case where we're trying to get someone off of death row, and I think that's been personally and professionally rewarding. It is one of the things I really like about working as a lawyer.
Well, thank you very much for your work with that. A lot of the students here have been studying about Alexa de Tocqueville and civic duty, the importance of helping your community. So that adds to it. We have a question from Germany. This is Johanna. Johanna, go ahead and unmute to ask.
Yes, thank you. I have a few questions actually. So, first of all, what does a normal workday for you look like? Because I feel like for me and most, the profession of being a lawyer still feels really distant. So, what is it that you actually do every day? And then, especially when you're talking about pro bono cases for people on death row, do you think that being a lawyer is too emotionally challenging, and how do you handle it?
Yeah, those are both very good questions. Thank you. So I'll start with the second one. I think that it's important to care, right? It's important to actually, give a darn about the people that you're fighting for. But on the other hand, you can't necessarily become super personally attached, because that will, kind of be an emotional drain on yourself that you can't do. It's not sustainable over your career. And I don't do. I think that would be more applicable if I was, a career prosecutor or public defender, where you have that interaction every day. So I think there's a healthy balance that you need to strike between, you do have to care, but you can't let that emotionally be a drag on you. And I'm sorry, can you repeat your first question?
I was just asking how a normal workday looks like for you.
Oh yeah. So that's variable. It changes from day to day. Um, just because the needs of the clients and the size of the deals, things change rapidly. So recently, I have a trial on Monday. So a lot of the time, I'm getting up a little early, staying up a little late, and working on putting together, different exhibit lists and cross outlines to ask the people on that are on the stand and stuff like that. But a month before, I was just reviewing discovery that was produced. So the other side produces documents to us, and then we have to look at those to see if the claims that we're making are true based on their emails and the documents and the reports that they made and stuff like that. So the overall high level summary is it's highly variable, from day to day.
That is a very that sounds stressful. So uh Duru in Turkey, go ahead and unmute to ask. You had a good question.
I wanted to ask, what was your biggest worry before studying law? Because I feel like there's a lot of pressure, especially for international students like us. So any tips or anything?
Yeah, I think, I mean, and as I previously mentioned, as a first generation college student, there's always kind of that imposter syndrome and am I good enough? And frankly, a lot of the people here went to, Harvard or Stanford or Yale or Columbia, as well as some of the most prestigious international universities, and they have lawyers in their family. So I came in kind of wasn't sure if I was going to make it, but I think a big part of it, especially when you're just starting out, and I think this is true everywhere, is that they'll recognize that you don't have the institutional knowledge. You're not coming in as like a legal powerhouse straight out of college, or high school or whenever you're doing that. I think a lot of it is just caring and trying your best and trying, everybody makes mistakes. I make mistakes. But trying your best to make sure the work product that you put together is as good as possible. And that's all you really can do. And I think that's true for law and every other career that you could have is just, as long as you care and try your best, I think you'll be okay.
Great advice. We'll go with a few more student questions and let you go. I'm not sure if you're charging by the 10th of an hour or what is it, sixth of an hour?
Yeah, it's the 10th of an hour. So every 6 minutes. No, not for you. This is free. Anything for the best elementary school teacher I had. Don't tell the others.
That's intense. Yeah, right. I'll tell her. I still talk to some of those teachers.
Oh, there you go. I'm gonna get into trouble.
You were one of my favorite fifth grade students. Marta,
Yes.
go ahead and unmute to ask. You had a question from Spain for us.
Have you ever considered working in another industry or work before you decided to work as a lawyer?
Yeah, so my original college major was nursing. I was going to be a male nurse, but that didn't. Like I said, don't have a mind for science, and based on drafting legislation, I realized that this is what I wanted to do. Contemporarily, I think I do want to practice law for the rest of my life. I thought about being a politician, but that's too much. I don't think I want that spotlight on me personally. But if I was going to change ever, I think I would go into finance. I think I would try and either open a hedge fund or work for a hedge fund or some sort of financial, a bank or something like that.
I could see you being like a campaign manager, the guy behind the
Behind the scenes. Yeah,
This comes from me. This is the teacher hat on. Looking back, is there any kind of like lesson or advice that was like valuable to you coming up in the world?
I don't know if it was, explicit advice, but, my dad, he worked 13, 14 hours a day when I was a kid. And that wasn't, that was relatively hard labor. That was moving around. It would work from 1 in the morning till 3 in the afternoon. And just seeing him doing that to make a better life for his family and make sure that I could go to college and could, do what I'm doing now. That kind of that hard work and that ethic, I think is something that never escaped me, because every time that I wanted to complain, sitting up here in this office in a skyscraper, I'm like, all right, well, it could be worse. And also having worked blue collar jobs, it was kind of the same thing. Like, I'm in a very fortunate place. And I want to make my family's life better. I don't want them to have to worry about money, and I want to make them proud. So I think just kind of keeping those drivers in the back of your head in times where you might not want to keep pressing on, I think has been extremely useful and a driving, motivating factor.
You are a massive inspiration to kids around the world, and I gotta say, as a former teacher, I'm so proud of you to see where you landed, man. Words can't even begin to express that. Please give my best to your family. Tell them I say hi, and don't be a stranger next time you're in Las Vegas. So Jacob, I asked this of all of our guests. This will be our final question. Is there any advice that you could give to these kids as they go off into the world and kind of figure out what paths they want to blaze, whether it's in something to do with law or something completely different? What kind of advice would you have for them?
Yeah, I guess there's probably two pieces of advice. First, I would make sure and take time and think and deliberate and see what kind of career you want and what kind of work you want to do. I mean, obviously a job is not, there's portions of it that are going to be unpleasant. And there's going to be times where you're working, maybe you don't want to work, but you have to not be completely miserable. You have to enjoy it. So some people, I really like what I do. I like the law. I like thinking through problems and kind of being a storyteller and a problem solver. So I think that's very important, liking what you do. And the other one is just, and I don't really know how to instill this in yourself, but just caring and making sure that you're making your life as extraordinary as possible, and doing something that leaves an imprint on the world, and on your family to make things better. I think that just always keeping in the back of your head, like, you can do this. The world is your oyster. You can do whatever you want. You just have to go out and get it.
Amazing advice, man. Well, we can't thank you enough for taking the time to speak to us today. And before I end the meeting before I shut this down, traditionally I allow everyone to unmute. And can we all say thank you to Jacob Bourgault for taking time out of his day to come talk to us? Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
brother.
Thank you.
Thank you for inviting me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.